Hey, what's up guys, it's Toby here from the Master Box Show and thank you for watching this video. This will be my very first PoE 2 build showcasing the power of the Invoker Monk, particularly the Shatter Ice Lightning build that can devastate enemies in a few seconds. This is more of a casual friendly guide that will be focusing on levels 1 to 65, early game to mid game content. If ever you guys are new to the show, I mainly do content that are really easy to follow, as well as some really interesting ones that can have a lot of skill expression if you want to make your own builds in the future. I mainly do a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 mod videos, as well as a few Baldur's Gate 3 builds that has the similar sort of content. Today we'll be talking about skills, passives, and item recommendations, and a few other stuff in between. I hope this build is helpful. Enjoy. We're going to start things off with the skills. I'm going to be discussing the skills in chronological order based on how early you can unlock them throughout your leveling process. I'm also going to be discussing about the support gems that you'll be needing for your skills. And don't worry, I'm not going to be overwhelming you with the amount of support skills that you need. We're just going to set the limit of 2 to 3 support gems because most likely the standard will be 2 or 3 once you hit the soft cap. First skill that you might want to unlock with your skill gems will be the Tempest Bell. This will be your primary damage source for eliminating groups of enemies or maybe eliminating bosses as quickly as possible. Once you hit the bell, it creates a shockwaves that deals extra damage to your corresponding damage. While you continuously hit it, it will also deal armor damage and knockback effects. For the support gems that you might want to grab for this skill is the Overabundance. This will increase the limit of your hit charges for your bells. Concentrated effect that will increase your damage by 40% while decreasing its overall AoE. For the third one will be Leverage, your support skills that gains increased critical hit once your enemies are immobilized. The second skill that you might want to get is the Staggering Palm. This will be our bread and butter skill that we'll be using throughout the leveling process, especially in the lower levels. The Staggering Palm, once used, provides a projectile for short duration. Enemies that are hit by your Staggering Palm instantaneously stunned, so it is quite beneficial that you keep this skill active whenever you have the chance. For the support gems, we'll be taking the Break Endurance. Once you fully break your enemy's armor, you will have a 20% chance to gain endurance charges. Having the ability to stack endurance charges will be quite beneficial, especially in the early game going to the late game process. For the second one is the Scatter Shot. This will provide us 3 projectiles for our Staggering Palm with just a sacrifice of 20% of our damage. For the final one will be a level 3 gem that will be the Discombobulate.
First, discombobulate. Dazed, discombobulate. Distract target. Discombobulate. In summary, discombobulate.
Once we activate the Staggering Palm projectile effects, we have a chance to build up Daze on our opponents. Dazed enemies will take 50% more stun buildup. The next skill that we'll be unlocking will most likely be around 25 to 30s. That will be the Tempest Flurry. The Tempest Flurry will be our main damage dealing skill most of the game, as it will let you deal 4 quick consecutive attacks in a single tap. For its final strike, it can call down a powerful shocking bolt. This skill also converts 60% of your physical damage to your lightning attacks. For the support gems, I highly advise you grab all of the support gems that you need for the build. Most likely you will be needing around 4. The top 3 support gems that you might want to grab is the Martial Tempo starting at level 1 support gem. This will cause our skill to attack faster. For the next one, is very important that you get this as quickly as possible. That will be the Electrocute support gem. For the final one will be the Practiced Combo. The Tempest Flurry will have a chance to build additional combos on hit. Just a bonus addition if ever you happen to increase the number of your support gems for this skill. Adding in the Rage support gem will be quite beneficial because whenever you hit your enemies, you can also grant Rage on hit. Storm Wave will be our long range attack skill that you'll be unlocking around 30 to 35. This will let you shoot bolts of lightning throughout the ground and damage your enemies from a great distance. The support gems that you might want to add will be starting at Ambush. This will increase your critical hit to enemies that have full HP. The second support skill will be Innervate. Whenever you kill enemies that are shocked, this will infuse your attacks with lightning damage for a short period of time. For the third one will be a level 3 support gem that will be Upheaval. This will increase the amount of lightning projectiles that we can launch by 2, giving us a total of 3 lightning projectiles in a single strike. For the final active skill that we'll be using for this build will be the Charge Staff. This will consume all of the power charges that you've accumulated and infuse your quarterstaff with electricity. This will add lightning damage and lightning shockwaves to our quarterstaff attack. Tempest Flurry will benefit from this ability, so once you use Tempest Flurry, your Charge Staff will also activate. Most likely you'll be needing 100% uptime for this skill, so as much as possible you need to accumulate power charges as quickly as you can and as often as your character can attack. Support gems are quite simple. You just need a couple of this to make it effective. starting with the persistence that will increase the duration of our skill. Other one will be overcharge whenever we hit our enemies with this skill. This will increase the effectivity of our shocks with the drawback of decreasing its duration. Final one that you might want to grab is the conduction. This will increase the chances for enemies to be shocked. Moving into the persistent buffs, we will be starting with the Herald with Thunder. Whenever we killed enemies with our damage attacks, this will release additional lightning bolts that will also deal enemies in their surroundings. With the use of our lightning focus skills, most likely we will be proccing a lot of lightning bolts for this build. The 3 support gems that you might want to grab for this build, we'll be starting with the lightning infusion at level 1. This will let us gain additional lightning damage with just the drawbacks of decreasing our cold and fire damage that we don't actually need. The second one will be the blind support gem. This will cause our enemies to get blind on hit. Most likely once your lightning drops, you will decrease the evasion as well as the accuracy rating of your enemies that are hit. For the final one will be lightning mastery at level 3 support gem. This will grant additional levels to our lightning skills. The second permanent buff that we'll get for the build will be the combat frenzy. This buff is from the ranger class that will let us gain frenzy charges whenever we electrocute our enemies. The support gem that we'll be needing for this one will be quite simple. That will be the profusion. Whenever we generate frenzy charges, we have a 50% chance to grant an additional charge. Third one will be the Herald of Ice. I highly advise around this level you get a really nice ice weapon that can add frozen buildup to your enemies, because once you use the Herald of Ice, whenever your enemies are shattered, you will be dealing ice explosions around that target. Support gems for these skills are quite similar to your Herald of Lightning. Most likely you'll be needing the Cold Infusion to increase your cold damage, Magnetic Field to increase the area of effect of your ice explosions by 40%, and the final one will be Cold Mastery that will grant additional levels to your cold skills. Fourth one will be Wind Dancer that will increase our evasion per stage. This is a stacking buff that lets us increase our evasion and consume them whenever we are hit with melee attacks, while also knocking back your enemies by a few distance. The support skills that you might want to grab will be Pin. This will allow our physical attacks to pin our enemies and making them unable to stun us. The other one will be Maim. This will cause our enemies to get maimed whenever they are hit with our support skill. For the final permanent buff that you might want to get whenever you have your Ascendencies, that will be the Unbound Avatar from the Invoker Ascendency. This will increase the overall effectivity of our elemental ailments whenever we use our Unbound Fury stacks. The ones that you might want to grab will be the Fire Mastery, because that is the final one that we don't have Mastery yet, so that's a great addition for this. Now on to the passives. It may look quite daunting for anyone that is looking at this tree. I'll try my best to make it as easy to follow as possible. Starting off with our monk passives, we will be having access to 2. That will be the skill speed and the energy and evasion energy shield. For starters, we'll just follow this tree right here. So we'll be just moving our skill speed, prioritizing on attack damage, as well as cast speed along the way. Most likely, you'll be arriving to the Flow Like Water passive. This will increase our dexterity and intelligence by 5, while also increasing our attack and cast speed percentages. After that, we'll be grabbing the big notable passives that we can get along the way. So that will be the Essence of Storm, Crashing Waves, Flow of State, as well as the Mindful Awareness. We'll just be grabbing those. Depending on your priorities, you can take what passive that you prefer first. There is no wrong answer here. For me, I just took the shock stance, and after that, take the Essence of Storm, following that up with Critical Chance as well as Crashing Waves. This will increase our critical hits some more. For the early levels, we'll just focus on increasing our crit damage, skill speed, attack damage, as well as our overall stats. Right after that, this Evasion and Energy Shield is quite good for survivability. Right after taking all of the 4 notable passives right there, we will be moving to this attribute right here while taking all of the small nodes that we can along the way. Depending on your priorities, you can add intelligence or agility in order for you to just equip the gear that you need. Right after this is we'll take the Moment of Truth. Leading up to the Moment of Truth is we'll be increasing our critical hit damage, increasing it along the way, and moving into the Moment of Truth that will increase it even more. Right after that, we'll be moving back down to our attributes and we'll take 1 level of that. Soon after landing to our second attribute skill right here, we'll be moving into taking the Conservative Casting. The purpose of this is to increase mana regeneration and to reduce the mana cost of our skills that are quite mana heavy. We'll be focusing on the mana reduction side for starters. We'll be taking this one here as well as the mana cost skill right here, and taking Conservative Casting for the final one. Most likely around levels 20 to 25, you'll be landing through this attribute slot right here. Right after that is we'll be moving to the right, taking more attack damage, moving into getting the killer instinct, as well as the tenfold attack. This will increase our attack speed and our attack damage. We will be taking attack damage right here. I'll be moving up and taking more attack damage while grabbing the killer instinct. That will increase our damage whenever we are full HP and 50% increased damage whenever we have low life. Right after that, this will be increasing our attack speed some more, grabbing the tenfold attack for this node right here. Soon after that, we will be grabbing another attribute and now move into the northern side of this tree. So we'll be taking the attribute once more, most likely around level late 20s or 30s. You'll be landing through this node critical damage increase. We'll be grabbing any critical damage increase bonus that we can. So we'll be grabbing this one, critical damage increase once more. Take the for the jugular notable node. So this will increase our critical damage by 30%. After that is more critical damage increase, so we'll be taking that. Critical damage and deadly force at the end of this node right here. This will increase our hit chances by 12, that is great. But the most notable thing here is increasing our damage whenever we deal our critical hit for the next 8 seconds. Depending on the state of your build, once you have the Combat Frenzy passive active, I highly advise you grab the Resonance. Resonance will be one of our keystone nodes that we'll be taking. That will convert all of our energy charges that we've accumulated from our Combat Frenzy and turn them into power charges for our charge staff. After taking Resonance, we'll now move northward and get our first jewel socket right there. Soon you'll land into a node that will increase your attack speed some more. Our goal is to get the deep trance node right here that will increase our attack speed and reduce the cost of our skills. So we'll be taking attack speed right there and finish up with the deep trance node. After finishing up all of the important nodes that we need for the northern side, we'll now go back and move northeastern side from this attribute node right there. Soon after, we'll land a jewel socket slot. Now moving to the south, we will now land into an attribute point slot right here. We will now focus more on the quality of life and increasing the uptime of our charges. So our goal here is to take the overflowing power that will give us +2 to our maximum power charges. As a default, we only have 3 stacks of power charges that will sum up to 15 seconds of uptime. That is quite short for the duration of our fights. Along the way to our overflowing power, we'll be grabbing critical damage when consumed a power charge. We'll be grabbing this one and another one totaling up to 60%. After that it will lead up to the overflowing power that will increase our power charges by 5 stacks to the uptime of our charge staff. While we're still in the area of the node, we will now increase our lightning damage potential. So we'll be just take all of the lightning damage increases that we can, leading up to the wild storm node right there. That side of the node is complete. We will now move south once again and take 2 attribute points, leading us to the Throat Seeker that will increase our critical hit chance and damage bonus. So we will just take all of the critical damage bonus nodes that we can right here, leading up to the Throat Seeker. Moving south once again, we will take another attribute point. To your right is the Quarterstaff Mastery. We'll be taking attack speed for our quarterstaffs right there, taking 2 points for attack speed once more, leading up to the Whirling Assault that will increase our attack speed even more, also giving knockback effects whenever we critical hit our enemies using our quarterstaff, while also grabbing the Martial Artistry, which will increase our dexterity as well as increasing our damage bonuses whenever we are equipped with quarterstaff, plus the increased accuracy rating is a great addition. Soon after completing those nodes, another socket jewel will be found on the southern side. Grabbing another attribute point, king to your right, we will now move and take the Coming Calamity node. This will increase the effectivity Herald of Lightning and Herald of Ice, so we will be taking that as quickly as we can. Along the way, we will be increasing the damage of our Herald abilities. So we'll be taking those up to the Coming Calamity. For the final few nodes that we'll need for the mid game, we'll be moving south once again, taking an attribute point, moving to the right, and eventually get the Struck Through node right here. Start off with increasing our critical damage, moving to the Heartbreaking node right here. This will increase our strength by 10, while also increasing our critical damage bonus. After more attack critical damage, we now have the Struck Through node that will give us plus 1% critical hit chance. For the final levels to 65, we will now take the final attribute point and move to the left to get the Electrocution node. This will increase the overall damage whenever the enemies are electrocuted. If ever you're asking what nodes do I get after 65, I highly advise you go north and grab this attribute node right here, moving into the Careful Assassin. This will increase our critical damage bonus as well as our critical hit chances. Or maybe move south some more and land to the Catalyst, giving you additional elemental damage for our attacks and 5% increased damage when enemies are hit by random elemental damage. But for me, the most important thing that we'll need after reaching 65 upwards is increasing our evasion rating. So that means that we need to take the enhanced reflexes. This will increase our dexterity and a plus 30% to our increased evasion rating. Along the way, you also get some other evasion rating increase. Another one is Bestial Skin. This will also increase our evasion rating whenever we equip body armor by 100%. For the Ascendency points, first priority is taking the Sunder My Enemies. Our critical hits will now ignore enemies' elemental resistances. For the other one is more on I Am the Blizzard. This is one of the most useful nodes that we'll need that will let our frozen enemies create shield ground and a 10% increased damage on our cold attacks. After that is Lead Through Grace. This will increase our spirit by our evasion rating. That is quite effective. And for the final one is the Unbound Avatar. Now let's talk about gear. This is a leveling build, so most of the gear is dependent on what you got for your leveling process. But there are only a few notable stats that you might want to consider, especially if you're going to be preparing to do maps in the endgame. For the itemization priorities, I highly advise you get evasion rating, accuracy rating for a chance for you to hit your enemies. Attributes like agility and intelligence are top priority here. Energy shield if ever you want to compensate the lack of your evasiveness. Obviously, elemental resistance is quite effective. Spirit is also a great thing to get. Elemental damage is also quite effective, especially if you don't have any elemental damage yet on your weapons. And that's it, guys. Thank you for watching our first build for PoE 2. What do you guys think about the build? Or do you have any requests or recommendations that we can accommodate in the future? Shoutouts for all the people who subscribe and keep supporting the channel. I really appreciate you guys for all the amazing support. And for all the people who haven't subscribed yet, thank you for watching my videos, and I hope I earn your subscriptions in the future. But if I earn it today, please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button. If you want to support me directly, join button is below, or maybe Patreon if you want to go that route. Want to know what other builds that we might have in store for PoE 2, Baldur's Gate 3 mod videos, builds, etc. Stay tuned for more. I hope to see you soon on the next Master Box Show. Peace out. Bye, guys.